It's up to you, New York, New York.
Good morning, happy Saturday morning. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on YouTube. Facebook was giving me an issue. We'll check that out later. On today's show, going to be hitting on the New York Knicks mammoth victory in Philadelphia. Something to feel good about. The Knicks win their third consecutive game in this series, take a commanding 3-0 lead, and quite frankly, just look like a team that is locked in, waiting for a probable matchup with the NBA's upstart Detroit Pistons team, who had the best record in the Eastern Conference pretty much for the entire ride. Team that the Knicks didn't match up good against during the regular season. This is a whole nother animal, the playoffs. And we'll see if Cleveland can get back in that series. But we're going to talk about the Knicks first and foremost. What's the story of this game, in my opinion? I mean, obviously, the guy in my avatar is pretty much the story of damn near any Knicks game, as he went for 33 points. He was doing a phenomenal job of distributing the ball. Only 3 turnovers. Jalen Brunson had a really big game. And a homecoming of sorts for the Nova Cats. Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, as well as Josh Hart. Karl Anthony Towns, not his best yesterday, getting into some foul trouble. But I think it's safe to say that Mitchell Robinson filled in well, and they got contributions from everywhere, whether it be Jose Alvarado, Jordan Clarkson, Shamet stepped up. Everyone in the Knicks uniform in that rotation was contributing. Deuce McBride early on hit a 3, his only points of the game. But I like the way that Mike Brown is trusting his bench. I like the way that the starters are getting important rest minutes when they can get them. And this is a big reason why the Knicks are where they are, because last regime, Tom Thibodeau had an issue stretching the rotation a little deeper. And I think it's paying big dividends for this current Knicks team. You know, they often say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I'm going to share this one with you from yesterday. Man, that is a beautiful poster. Mitchell Robinson getting revenge the best way possible on a player who deliberately injured him a couple of years back. Joel Embiid, who's dealing with his own share of injuries. I'll be honest, guys. Joel Embiid doesn't belong active right now. And I truthfully believe that people in Joel Embiid's camp need to try to have him consider retiring. Truthfully, looking at what I saw yesterday, I kind of view Embiid as a bit of a liability at this point. You know, he's not getting the best dexterity when he's trying to shoot his deep ball from downtown. He looks a step or two slow when he's in the paint. He's not finishing at the rack like he normally does. And it's, the hip. It's the other issues. But I don't really feel that this man helps his team at this point. Now, as far as Mitch goes, they tried to implement Nick Nurse implementing the Hack-a-Mitch. And quite frankly, it didn't work at the level where it was going to turn the game around. Philadelphia had a good first quarter. The Knicks fought back to get close, but the Knicks outscored Philadelphia in the second, third, and fourth quarters. And another telltale of how this game was going to go was when Paul George went for a big donut in the second half after having an awesome first half. I think he was like 6 for 9 from the field, 15 points at halftime, and it looked like he was going to have a really big game. But the combination of Knicks defense being stingy in the paint and also just being able to get second chance opportunities, get to the line when they needed to, this was just a great team win. And when you see the Knicks celebrities, the Knicks fans in general taking over Philadelphia, you hear MVP chants late in the game with Jalen Brunson on the line. This feels a little different. This Knicks playoff run definitely feels a little different than some of the ones in the past, whether it be in this Jalen Brunson era or even going back to the Melo era, not that they were in the playoffs often, or the Patrick Ewing era. This feels a little different. Part of the Patrick Ewing era, although there were some great memories, but you also had Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And it was hard to ever feel that the Knicks were truly going to get past them. Maybe early on in the rivalry, going back to like 93. I think that was the one time I genuinely believed the Knicks were going to beat the Bulls. They unfortunately didn't. Jordan stepped away. Knicks won the East, lost in 7 hard-fought games to the Houston Rockets back in 94. Jordan retires in 95. And then Jordan ultimately puts on another three-peat with Scottie Pippen and co. from 96 through 98. But the point to be made is that during that great era of Knicks basketball, Jordan was the main roadblock. And of course, Reggie Miller sprinkled in. And of course, Hakeem Olajuwon in that epic 94 finals. I think what I'm trying to say is that in today's NBA, while I know that the defending world champions are still undefeated, the Oklahoma City Thunder in these playoffs, and while I know that my Western Conference pick, the San Antonio Spurs, are damn good, it doesn't seem like any opponent in this playoffs is insurmountable for the Knicks to overcome. And that's not cockiness. That's not me saying the Knicks are definitely going to win it this year. That's me saying that there's a lot of parity in the league, and I think the Knicks can hang with anybody. Were it not for lack of concentration in 2 one-point losses in round 1, I think the Knicks would be undefeated in these playoffs. But those are valuable losses if they're learned from, and I do believe at minimum the Knicks have done that. But, regardless of coaching strategies and such, the Knicks go as far as this man takes them. They have a lot of support level players that are doing their thing. It's also good that you could get a win like that without OG Anunoby. But Jalen Brunson is the guy if the Knicks are going to do it. San Antonio Spurs, no surprise to me. I did pick both road teams yesterday. They get a quality win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Victor Wembanyama, 39 and 15. A far cry from his game 1 output. Game 2, he stepped up, but this is different. 39 and 15, and definitely asserting the fact that he is indeed a top 10 player and rising in the association. I think the San Antonio Spurs, good possibility, can get rid of Minnesota in 5. I would say the Spurs, Spurs in 5. I don't think Minnesota is going to win another game in this series. I have a soft spot for Minnesota because of Julius Randle being there. Of course, Dante DiVincenzo is not active because of his unfortunate injury. But the Spurs just look like a team that's on a collision course with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they have played the Thunder really well. I picked the Spurs in the West because I genuinely think they're going to win it. I think they're going to beat OKC when it counts. However, Another reason I hope the Spurs get in there is because I think the Knicks match up very well with them. Good possibility that we're going to get a rematch of a past finals one way or the other, whether it's the 99 Spurs Knicks series, which unfortunately Patrick Ewing missed, or if we get a rematch of the Pistons and Spurs with the epic Robert Horry series changing three-pointer. Nas spoke about it on Hip Hop is Dead. That was a phenomenal series. Bad Boys 2.0 were ever so close to going up 2-0. And speaking about those Pistons, they're in Cleveland tonight looking to do what the Knicks did yesterday, take a commanding 3-0 lead. I think Donovan Mitchell's playing well. I know that he's had a bad narrative surrounding him that he can't win in the postseason, but he's not getting enough help, where Cade Cunningham is getting plenty of help. And that's been the telltale in these first two games. I might be misguided in my thinking. Maybe I'm putting a little too much belief in this Cleveland Cavaliers team. But I got the Cavs winning tonight in a close one. And obviously, if they lose tonight, my pick of them going to the ECF is definitely busted up. And I'll probably take Detroit in game 4. But tonight I'm taking Cleveland to get back in this series. Give me the Cleveland Cavaliers by a score of 107-102. I think it's going to be close. Los Angeles Lakers are desperate for a win. Can they finally get on the board against OKC? That one I think is going to be a little tougher for me to pick because I have a higher opinion of the Lakers than what they're doing right now. Of course, the Luka Doncic injury has really made things difficult when you're taking on the defending world champions who also have the best record in all of the NBA. And unfortunately, although early on I said I think the Lakers could get back in this series, I'm going to be taking the Thunder. Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder by a score of 119-109. I think the Lakers will compete, but I think in the fourth quarter, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to pull away. They've got too many answers, and when you're missing a talent like a Luka Doncic, quite frankly, it's not fair. Spencer Jones, New York Yankees. That was really cool to see his parents taking in the game in Milwaukee yesterday. Of course, I'm sure they wanted a happier outcome as the Milwaukee Brewers shut out my New York Yankees yesterday by a score of 6-0. It's been a minute since the Yankees lost an opener of a series as they've been very ultra competitive. You got to go back to the Angels and the Rays series where the Yankees were losing early in the series. But truthfully, the Yankees are going to start hearing, narratives about that they can't beat winning teams. I think it's a little overblown. I've been saying this on the show recently that I think you need to have more games played before you can completely make an assessment on who's doing what. There are a lot of teams in the American League that are underachieving, but there's also teams that are creeping towards the 500 mark. And some of those wins, like for instance against the Seattle Mariners, even the Texas Rangers are only 4 under, will look a little better in a couple of weeks if those teams go on their respective winning streaks. Now, the biggest thorn in the Yankees side in the early going, undeniably the Tampa Bay Rays. They finally lose the game. Boston Red Sox get the dub, but the Yankees lose with them. So during that massive Yankees winning streak, they gained no ground. They both lose yesterday. There's only a half game separating these two teams. They have the same amount of losses. Yankees played one more game and won that extra game. But head-to-head, the Rays were 3-0 against the Yankees. I was in attendance for Game 3 in St. Petersburg. Wanted to really see Cam Schlittler's best. Unfortunately, he didn't have it that day. But Cam Schlittler is on the bump tonight. And I personally think it's going to be a pretty good game, pretty good pitching matchup. As yesterday's game goes, Jacob Mizorowski was just on his A game through and through. And the Yankees never truly had an opportunity. And, Max Fried, unfortunately, had the really crummy second inning. And that kind of just set in the energy of what kind of game it was going to be. Yankees have lost 2 of their last 3, so, in danger of starting a losing streak. But I think the Bombers pull it out tonight. Give me the New York Yankees by a score of 5-2. I think Schlittler is going to pick up the bags, so to speak. Make sure that he's a slump buster. It's a very modest slump if you're considering losing 2 out of 3 after winning as many games as the Yankees have and winning as many series. But with Schlittler on the bump today, I think the Yankees have a realistic shot of having a chance to win the rubber match. And these Brewers are a good team. The National League Central in general is a good division right now, as every team in that division is over 500. And this has been a division that over the years has not been taken very serious, where there was a lot of mediocrity. But the Pirates are better, the Cardinals are better, the Reds are better. And, the teams that are expected to win this division, the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs, are both playing really good baseball, particularly the Cubs. And, the Brewers were in the National League Championship Series a year ago before running into the buzzsaw that was the Los Angeles Dodgers. And out west, the Padres are applying pressure to the Dodgers. So, pretty good Major League season so far. I think with the Dodgers injuries, they haven't exploded with the biggest record that I think a lot of people thought they were going to have. But that team is geared for October. They proved that last year when they didn't have the best record, but made winning the National League look a little too easy. Of course, they got tested in a big way by last year's Toronto Blue Jays team. What else around MLB? I'm happy for Don Mattingly getting this opportunity with the Philadelphia Phillies. Of course, I can't stand Philadelphia sports teams, but Mattingly is my all-time favorite Yankee. Recently suffering his first adversity as the Phillies manager. But I do believe that if Donnie Baseball gets these guys to play at a high level and gets these guys to turn the corner after a horrific start, he may be retained past this year. I know that there were sources claiming that this was just a temporary thing until the Phillies figure out their long-term solution. But when you consider that his son Preston is in the front office, if he is performing well, I think he stays. We shall see how that plays out. Wanted to let you guys know, check out Big Bosco Productions, my co-host Idris Salam, getting it done in the lab, doing a ton of work. Whenever I don't hear from Idris, I know that he's going hard on music, and he kind of goes into a place where he's like off the grid. And that's the way that a lot of musically inclined people work. But check out Big Bosco Productions on Bandcamp, B-A-N-D Camp. He's got 3 solid albums out of Jazzmatical. That's on Old Man Energy, Volume 2. The Dirtiest Rap Album Ever Made, as well as Old Man Energy Volume 1, which is a trip through the golden era of hip-hop, the boom bap era, which is still very much alive. Also, make it a point on Facebook to like and check out Talkin' New York. That is a new endeavor that I'm doing with 2 really good friends that are diehard Yankee fans. It's any and all topics, New York-based sports and beyond. I'm going to be doing double duty between the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast and the Talk of New York podcast. And also check out Yankees Daily. If you're a lover of the New York Yankees, check out Yankees Daily. Over 100,000 members. And you get some really intense baseball talk in there. But until next time, I am Richie. If you haven't already, please make it a point, like, and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Make it a point to check out our friends at Casual Convo every Monday and Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. And as far as tonight goes, I'm going to be doing a Yankee-based show, a detailed Yankee-based show with my friend Corey Rain. Look for us around midnight Eastern time. Going to be a late show. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe. Enjoy your time with your people. And I'll be back soon. I'm out.